Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of It Gets to Be Easy. And today we're talking about what is a yes life? So we want to talk about how do you create a yes life? What is one? I want one. How do I get one? And I think, Joe, I really want to pick your brain because this is something that you talk about a lot, and it's something that you've consciously kind of made some kind of major decisions about in your life, and you've gone about creating this yes life. Like, what exactly is a yes life?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I don't know when I first started talking about a yes life. It was at least 18 months ago. And it really has become such a huge thing in my life and in your life now and in our business. And it's literally become. This is what our business is about. It's about helping women to step into and create their yes life. And, you can't have a yes life unless you have a business that is leveraged and set up to give you freedom. You can't have a yes life unless you're living by the ethos of it gets to be easy. A yes life is not hard. A yes life is all about, for me, I'll just tell you what it is for me. Maybe it's different for you, and then you can send us your thoughts. A yes life to me is, I just wanted to wake up every day and say yes to anything that came my way, or any idea that I had. If someone said to me, I live in a little beach town, right? I'm coming into your beach town today. Can you have lunch? Well, I couldn't do that in my old corporate life because, well, one, I was in the city, but I was tied to a desk 10 or 12 or 14 hours a day. So that wasn't a yes life. My old business, where I was still tied to my desk 10 to 14 hours a day, I couldn't say yes to that. Well, and I wouldn't have, even if I could have, because I had this mindset, which we talked about in our previous podcast, that, unless I was hustling and working my behind off, then I wasn't going to be successful, and I didn't feel successful. So a yes life, being able to say yes to my friend, where are we going? I'll meet you there in an hour. Or if someone says to me, do you want to go to Bali next week for a few days? Yes, why not? I can work there. My business is, I can run it remotely. It's an online business. I wanted to be able to say yes to my son, not to everything he asks for. And we talk about this. I say to him, his name's Benny. I say to him, Benny, you can have probably nearly everything that you want, but I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to teach you actually how to value money, and understand not that to have a lot of money you have to work super hard, but I want to train his money mindset from his young age of 10, right? But I want to be able to say yes to the things that he wants and needs. And I want to be able to say yes to helping my family when they need it. My dad just recently was super unwell really fast, and I was able to pay thousands for an airplane ticket to fly to another country to be with him. And I couldn't have done that when I had a big job and when I didn't have lots of money. I'm not saying a yes life is about having millions in the bank, because I don't yet, but I'm on my way, and I'm super clear that, I just want to say yes to stuff and people and experiences. And, I get to live in my dream house at the beach. That to me is a yes life. I don't have to deal with a big city anymore. But I get to say yes to a big city whenever I want the hustle and bustle. And that is super fun. And I get to do that because I've created a life where my life is my own. And as long as my son is looked after when I have him, I co-parent, which I kind of love too. I just deviated off the point then maybe, but I think all of that was to do with a yes life. But I had to get super clear on what I wanted my life to look like in order to call in and make it happen. Like, none of that happened by accident. None of it. And people used to say to me, or people still say to me all the time, you're so lucky. And I used to say, I know. And now I'm like, that BS. Like, F that, excuse my
There's
French,
no luck
but
about that.
there is no luck about that. I created this life very, very intentionally, and so can you.
I think that's a really good point, and I'd like to explore that a bit further, because I think anyone listening is like, how do you get to that place? How do you get to that yes life? Because I know for me, like, I've had multiple businesses over my life, and I think, you know, experiences, or as Esther Hicks says, you know, the contrast enables you to get clarity on what it is that you do want. So I think sometimes the hard life gets you the opportunity to go, actually, no, I want it to be easy, or whatever contrast you experience gets you to then go, I like that, I don't like that. So I think having lots of life experience helps you to sift through what you want and what you don't want. But then how do you actually go, you know, I think as women, we often are serving everybody else's needs a lot of the time before our own. And we forget to kind of tap in and go, actually, what makes me happy? Like, what makes me joyful? What's the thing that really, really, like, I could, you know, live off the oxygen of? Like, what are the things that on a day-to-day basis make me sing, like make me jump for joy, like, and then purposefully weaving those into our life. Like, I know, like, when I had bricks and mortar businesses, and anyone who has one, I do love them, but I will never have one again because they're so, like, you have to actually come into a physical building. And yes, you can have physical buildings and you can not go in there because you've got systems set up to build that, but you have to consciously go about building your business in a way, no matter what type of business it is, so that you can have that time freedom, or that location freedom, or that ability to just not go to work today because you're not feeling like you want to do that particular thing. And so how do people get clear about that? Like, if you got some ideas or some ways in that, you know, people can get clear on what their yes life might be.
Yes, and Ro, like you said it so beautifully. It really is a matter of getting super clear on what brings you joy, like versus pain, and you know, and contrast is super important. You know, for me, I was super clear after years in corporate and years away from my family, like hours a day, that for me, and sitting in traffic to, you know, drive 6 kilometers, like sitting in traffic for 40 minutes to drive 6 kilometers because I had to be in the city for a job. Like, I was super clear what I didn't want when I was dreaming up my yes life. And, like, you know, years ago, I remember it was before my son was even born, and my husband at the time and I were looking at a bricks and mortar business. And we were looking.
Do you remember years ago you looked at mine? I think that was around the same time.
No, I was about to say it was Rose Health and Wellness business.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't have the hundreds and hundreds of thousands to buy a franchise or a bricks and mortar business, thankfully. But, you know, even then I wanted freedom. I wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want someone telling me what to do, or that I had to be there at a certain time, or that I had to miss, you know, I missed my child's first birthday because I was managing a big acquisition for the company I was a GM for. And at the time I thought, that's okay. He doesn't know. He won't remember that I wasn't there at all on his first birthday, morning, noon, or night. But I remembered. And that was a pain point for me. So my yes life, when I was dreaming it up, like, I started dreaming it up, if I'm honest, before he was even born. And I was super clear, I don't want to live in a big city, but I want to be close to one. And then I was like, I want to live at the beach, because for years I used to drive 20 or 30 minutes each way, most days, to the beach and listen to podcasts or do calls. And I realized, oh my goodness, I have a life now that I can live anywhere. Why aren't I living at the beach? Why am I not just walking down onto the sand and having that freedom? And so I now do that every day. So that formed part of my, okay, so for my yes life, and remember, this is before I even came up with like a yes life. It was just, this is what I want my life to look like. And so for me as well, I am a romantic on the sacred money archetypes. If you don't know what they are, look them up. They're freaking amazing. Sacred money archetypes. I'm a romantic, so I love 5-star luxury. I hate cooking. I love going to restaurants. They don't need to be 5-star, but I love going out for lunch. I love going out for dinner. And so when I was dreaming up this life, I wanted the money and the freedom and the friends around me to go and do that with as frequently as I want. And it's so funny. My mum says to me, she just always happens to ring when I'm out for dinner or lunch, which is frequently every week. Like it's multiple times in a week. She's like, you're out again? Do you ever cook? I'm like, no, I hate it. Why would I do that? That's not my yes life. She doesn't laugh at me. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get why I would spend money and give other people, like why I wouldn't cook at home, but would spend money in someone's restaurant. I'm like, Mum, because that brings me joy, you guys. Like this is back to me helping you to work out what your own yes life could look like. You need to know what brings you joy. One of my best friends freaking loves cooking. She doesn't love going out. For her yes life is like last night, she cooked for 2 of us, like 3 of us, and we had a beautiful night. I took the champagne, of course. She cooked. She's in a freaking happy place. And you get to do you. You get to live your life the way that you want to live it, in a way that brings you joy. Maybe you want to live in a high rise in a big city. So go and visualize that and dream that up. And in future podcast episodes, we are going to teach you how to become a freaking master manifester, because we have taught ourselves to become that.
That was going to be one of my questions, because like obviously you're there, you're living that yes life, and you know we have that ability when we're there to be an inspiration to others. And I can see, you know, we're both super passionate about wanting to share this. Like, what's your driver to, for a start, wanting to actually make a movement with more people, more women living their yes life?
Well, because first of all, a world full of people that are freaking happy is going to be a much nicer place for all of us to live, don't you think?
Yeah, totally.
A much nicer place for our children to grow up in, for their children to grow up in. You know, I believe that wealth needs to be redistributed around the globe. I believe that more women making a ton more money is exactly what needs to happen in the world to sort some of the stuff out that's going on.
I definitely think women spend money differently. And that's what I think's really important about the wealth distribution to women, is like when you have a multimillionaire woman, she's less likely to go and buy a super yacht than, not that there's any problem, I'd love to have a super yacht, but she's more likely to create a school or to create something in her community that's giving back and working with, like, I've got so many wealthy friends and they do such beautiful work. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really big driver for me, is that money in the hands of women, I think, has a very different movement in the world. Like there's a really big heart in giving back to the community when it comes to women. And I think, you know, more women living their yes life, I think, sets such a precedent for children too. Like, I know when I see me living my yes life in front of my children, that's inspirational. Like, sometimes they don't understand it. And I think, like you were saying about your son, like, you know, they go, whoa, if we've got money, we can buy it. So just buy it. And I'm really passionate about teaching them how to navigate their own manifestation or their own ability to call things in, because they are way more pure than we are. Like, so their ability to call in what they want is so much clearer. But just knowing the skills of how to do that, which leads me to my next question, Jo, because I feel like tangibility for me and these sorts of things, like, they can be a bit fluffy, but I want to kind of go into, like, if somebody's sitting here listening to you and they're like, I want that, Jo, I want that yes life that you talk about, not your life, but, you know, their own version of that. Like, but their reality is something completely different. So their reality is they may be working 10 hours a day. They may be in that corporate job. They may be stuck in the city. They may be traveling every day. Like, how do you start to get the wheels in motion from your perspective of
Well,
getting that yes life?
first of all, like I said, you have to decide, first of all, that you want a different reality. Like, my reality sucked too at times. I didn't like working 100 hours a week. I didn't like being away from my family. I didn't like sitting in that traffic. But, here's the thing. Most people in the world are just going to sit. They're just going to sit there and stay there and not have the courage to make a change. And also, to be honest, they're not surrounded by a community, a movement of people who are all striving for something different, and something that, I'm very clear that my life is mine now. My yes life is mine, because for years I have paid coaches. I have been part of paid communities that are full of females who are not there yet, all of them, but they're striving towards a different reality in their businesses, in their lives, in their relationships, with their money, all sorts of things. And, so you first of all just have to know that you're not feeling joy in your current life and in your current reality, and that you want to make a change. And then you need to, it's a blue sky exercise. You just sit down with a whiteboard or a piece of paper and think about what, I find it easier to look at my life, and I still do this. I'm like, what am I not happy with? What's not bringing me joy? Rather than, because then it's easy to say, well, I want the opposite of that. Or, if I'm not happy working away from home all the time, okay, so I want to work from home, or, from Bali. Okay, right. So I need an online business. Like, I literally was that. Yes, it did just drop in my lap. Absolutely. But I had made a decision that I wanted a different way of working. And the same with, I had a 7-figure online business, and something happened in that business, and it's not important to this conversation, but something happened, and it made me feel unsafe and insecure with that income stream. And so I again made a decision that the following year I would create another online income stream. And that is when, Ro, you and I came together kind of by accident, as we talked about in our first podcast episode, and
there are no accidents.
And we created this business. And and so, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. There are no accidents. Absolutely not. So, but you need to get super clear on what you want your yes life to look like. And I don't suggest it's going to come to you in one sitting, and find a community, come and join ours, where we really teach inside of there and model inside of there how to create your own yes life, and how life and business actually does get to be easy.
Yeah. And I think in summary of all of that, because I think there's so many critical elements, the reminder that I want to bring to the table is it's a gradual process. It's something that you can get super clear on, and the clearer you get on it and the more time you spend dreaming about it and focusing on it and putting energy and time towards that. And we will go into further discussions about manifestation and about the law of attraction and about ways in which you can create your own reality with that. But I think ultimately just that first step of deciding, like getting clear on, if you see something you don't like, what is it that you do want? Actually making sure that you flip that and you get really clear on what it is that you want. And you know what? Sometimes definitely in my life, like I've made choices and I've moved towards something, and then I've got it and I've got there and I'm like, yeah, not really what I want anyway. So then I'll make another choice. And this is you never get there and it's never done. And you'll hear me say that 1,000 times, because it disappoints me, because I kind of feel like I want to get to this place where I'm there. Like, however, it's enjoying the journey and enjoying the ability that at any point you can tack and move in the direction of a different outcome. If you are in a relationship and it's not serving you, either make decisions or make changes to that relationship or find another relationship. Like you have these choices, and then you're not stuck with that particular thing. Like you can then make another choice and move in a different direction. So it's continuously flowing in the in the direction of what you want to do, like in the direction of what brings you joy, and using that emotional guidance as your key to getting you where you want to go.
Mhm.
So huge conversation, and thanks.
Huge.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing all that amazing wisdom. And I hope everybody who's listening along is enjoying it as much as we are bringing it to you. So thanks so much for hanging with us. And remember, it gets to be easy.